That's right. We're back. The NFL team preview series for 2024. We're starting with the number one pick for the Chicago Bears, and there is no one better to bring in than Jacob Infante here, who does a fantastic job. Follow him on X at Jacob Infante24. He's an NFL draft analyst. He's Bears blog for WC Gridiron. Just a tremendous vault of knowledge. He's joined us so many times. He's back again to kick off the team preview series for FTN. Jacob, let's start. Number one pick, Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. What's going to happen at quarterback here? Tell us the insight.
Yeah, so this is a debate that's torn apart the fan base from the seams inside. It's because there are a lot of people who have very strong opinions about Justin Fields one way or the other, and I feel like that's a little bit unfair because I still feel like there's so much that Fields has to prove and so many questions that he still has to answer, but in that sense, that's part of why I think they move off of him and why they eventually trade him and select probably Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. Just because you're looking at it from the aspect of, okay, Fields has gotten better since his rookie year. Yeah. But there hasn't been a giant enough leap to warrant passing on a quarterback prospect of Caleb's caliber or even of Drake May's caliber. With that number one overall pick. And last year, it made sense to trade the pick, move down. Fields was coming off of a pretty solid year too. It's still a bit more flash than substance, but the flashes were really good. This year, I'd say, the substance was a little bit better. I feel like he was a better decision maker with the ball. I feel like his pocket presence improved, but, I feel like his ability to read the field is still a bit of an issue. The accuracy was a bit hit or miss. And there's still some aspects of sensing pressure consistently that I feel like can still be improved to the point where you need to realize this is year 4 we're coming up on with Justin Fields in his rookie contract. That's the last year that he has. And the 5th year option, that's not a terrible price to pay, especially at quarterback, but eventually you're going to have to figure out, are you going to extend Fields? And by having the number one pick, it's a unique situation in that it's not from their own play. It's from Carolina being bad. Chicago having the 9th pick, if it was just that, then they'd be sticking with Fields. But it's such a unique situation where you need to evaluate everything. The fact that drafting Caleb, or even I say Caleb, it means maybe May too, but I'm expecting it to be Caleb. You're adding 3 extra years of rookie controlled quarterback play with someone who arguably has more upside as a passer at this point, is still a very good athlete, a dynamic playmaker who can make plays out of structure. I feel like he's a much better decision maker, a much better field general than anyone given credit for, just because, they see the plays out of structure. Those are the ones that go viral. And, not to realize that, okay, he can go through full field reads. He can identify the check down. He's gotten better at that over the course of his collegiate career. So that's my long-winded answer to say, with the number one pick, I think it's going to be Caleb Williams, and I think they're going to trade Justin Fields for some premium draft capital.
Which leads me to the next question, which is a 4-win improvement here for this Bears team, especially at the end of the year. Defense started clicking. What do you see besides quarterback, assuming they take Williams with the first overall pick? What do you see as the 3 biggest needs here for the Bears heading into the offseason? 9th pick, free agency, things they want to add here, just sort of continue that improvement moving forward.
Yeah, so I think one that I really point to is another wide receiver. And you look at DJ Moore, obviously coming off of an incredible year, had a career high in receiving yards. He was a very strong wide receiver 1, but the wide receiver play below that wasn't very good. Darnell Mooney hasn't been able to regain his 1,000-yard status. He hasn't been able to play at that level. They don't have a proven high-caliber starter there otherwise. And with new offensive coordinator Shane Waldron coming in, I'm expecting to see a lot more passing, a lot more throwing the ball, especially when you consider a lot of those offenses under that McVay tree. They've honestly pass the ball a lot. They distribute pretty heavily to multiple wide receivers. So I think they need a wide receiver too, whether they get it in the draft or free agency. I think they need another edge rusher. And bringing in Montez Sweat was incredible for the defense. I mean, like you mentioned, the defense improved tremendously after they added Sweat. And I think that's no coincidence. I think that there's correlation there. And with, that said, they haven't had another high-end pass rusher to consistently get after the QB alongside him. So you get those two off the edge and a defensive tackle group that I think is better than a lot of people give it credit for. And you also have, the opportunity to really have a dynamic duo rushing off the edge. That's a good D-line right there. So receiver, edge rusher, and then center's the other one I'm going with. I'm expecting them to cut Cody Whitehair. It's going to save, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's a good amount of money that you're letting go if you cut Whitehair. And realistically, his best days are behind him. He got benched down the stretch, and even when guys around him got hurt, he wasn't always the first choice to go in at center or guard. So I think he's as good as gone. You're going to need a center regardless, honestly. I'm expecting that's probably one they'll look at in free agency because it's a pretty good class of centers, a handful of starters hitting the open market. So receiver, edge rusher, and center, I'd say outside of quarterback, those are probably the needs I expect the Bears to fulfill and execute on the most in the offseason.
So here we go. Last question for you, then we'll get you out of here. Great information as always, and we'd love to have you back on as we get closer. Now is the time we start guessing, though, because remember, last year at this time, probably I would say it was C.J. Stroud first, I would say right now. Then it flip-flopped, then Stroud dropped. So here's my question. Who do you think the Bears take at number one? Do they keep the pick, and do they select a quarterback? Is it Williams or May? And where do they go at 9? Or do you think that possibly they could package that first pick, maybe trade down 1 or 2 spots, still try to get a quarterback, package with 9 or Justin Fields, something like that? So when the draft occurs here, Jacob, what's happening at 1? Who do you think they're going to take if they keep it? And where are they going at 9?
I think 1's going to be Caleb. I'd be surprised if it wasn't at this point. And I feel like the fact that you brought in Shane Waldron, who had interest from, a handful of other teams for an offensive coordinator spot. The fact that he chose Chicago, I think my gut says that trends towards he gets the chance to work with the number 1 overall pick, because that becomes a much more intriguing spot. Historically, it's easier to succeed with a rookie quarterback and to make some big plays rather than a year 4 essentially reclamation project. So that's my guess. I could be reading that totally wrong. The Bears might not even have their decision, but my guess is they do. My guess is it's going to be Caleb at 1. At 9, the guy I keep coming back to is Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington. He just makes so much sense from now a scheme perspective, but also just a need and a value perspective. He's my wide receiver 2 in the class behind Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that the combination of size, ball skills, route running prowess, not just how quick he is out of his breaks, but also how intelligent he is and how he disguises route concepts through his stems is really impressive. And he's, I think, a better vertical athlete than people give him credit for too. So Odunze is the name I keep coming back to. And then I'd have to say, if it's not him, if say 3 receivers go before 9, I'd go into edge rusher. I'm going to say maybe Leatu Latu out of UCLA. That's a name that I keep going to. So yeah, I'm going to say edge rusher at 9. If not, then probably going to be Odunze. If I had to guess, that's not insight. I don't know what their evaluations are. I don't know who's going to be on the board, but Odunze is the name I keep coming back to.
It makes a lot of sense, Jacob, especially if they can continue to add a couple pieces in free agency. Solid defense, won 4 of their last 6, 4-win improvement from last year, new offensive coordinator, possibly new quarterback, really strengthen this team in what is now, with the Packers, with the Lions, one of the most competitive divisions in all of football. Folks, Jacob Infante does an amazing job here. Draft analyst, Bears blog for WC Gridiron. Follow him on X at Jacob Infante 24. Jacob, thank you for a few minutes here. We know you're super busy, but you're tied in. Love to have you back on here because you were spot on last year with helping us analyze the Bears, how they're going to do. Great work as always. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Mike.